All right, we will get this started. So first of all, thank you for being here. This is our second year doing our junior parent night. So the way this is going to kind of go, it can be pretty informal. We have some slides we're going to go over to try and present broad chunks of information, up and coming things that are going to be happening that are available for kids. And then honestly, the most important and maybe pivotal part is the questions at the end, because if we can't cover everything and we don't know the specifics that you want, and we know everything for the most part, and then we can try and share that with you. So the questions at the end will be really important. Anything you're wondering, if we can't get an answer tonight, we can always look it up or try and find it ourselves to share it with you. But so for now, we go through our information, then we'll open up for questions at the end.
In terms of post-high school, college, workforce, all that kind of stuff, there are tons of terms to kind of know that you'll see in college applications talking about FAFSA, what is it, all that stuff. So general terms to know, trade school are going to be those highly focused programs. The associate's degree is going to be 2 years, bachelor's degree 4 years. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Scholarships and grants is money that goes towards college that doesn't have to be paid back like FAFSA does. FAFSA is like your standard student loans. When talking about scholarships and grants, you'll see stuff like needs-based or merit-based. Needs-based is based on the financial need of a family, and merit-based is tending to go something along with an academic achievement, art scholarships, sports, all that kind of stuff. Early decision, regular decision, and rolling admission are going to be on those college applications. Early decision tends to be around mid-October to early November. November 1st tends to be that date. Regular decision for college applications is going to be the November to May, depending on the colleges that you're looking at. And then rolling admissions are colleges that accept applications all year long.
Okay, to start out, exploring colleges and careers are super important, especially during junior year of high school. So at SCC, juniors take personal finance, and in this class, they'll research colleges, college programs and majors. They'll create resumes and cover letters. I know they do mock interviews and many, many other really important things. College tours are super important. Try to get your feet on campus to learn more about it, see the campus, the class sizes, and even if you can't get your feet on campus, a lot of colleges do virtual tours now. At the high school, we have colleges come in for lunch visits, so kids can go up to them, ask questions, get brochures, get a lot of information, so that's awesome that they can come here and meet students. Another great opportunity is job shadowing for students to reach out, and we can help them do that as well with jobs in the area, and a lot of them are willing to have them come in and shadow just to learn more about careers. And then at the high school, they offer field trips like Build My Future, and they go to Northwood Technical Colleges. Do you guys do any other field trips you want to point out?
Not that we sponsor, but there will be some opportunities that we're going to talk about that happen outside of the school day for kids to go, where a lot of colleges set up to do booths and other things. River Falls High School puts on what I would say is the best college and kind of career fair, more college focused, that we're going to talk about at the end a little bit. And then we'll be sending out information about that as well.
Yeah, so that one's, you have a flyer for it. It was over there. So that's January 13th, and that's the Western Wisconsin Career Fair at the River Falls High School, and that's in the evening. On February 27th at Northwood Technical College, they're going to be having a career day, and that's during the school day. So are you?
Some students are going. We have a couple of teachers who are taking a group of students. If your student is interested, we can definitely touch base with those teachers to get them the opportunity to go.
And then on April 23rd at Menominee High School, they're offering a youth career expo, and students who are taking personal finance third trimester will be going to that. And Ms. Crowley has offered to take any other junior who took personal finance try 1 or try 2 to that. The student just has to reach out to Ms. Crowley to set that up.
And if you don't know Tracy Crowley, she's an expert on all of this stuff. She teaches our business classes, futures and personal finance. She has connections for kids for the workforce, for what's the thing they do, apprenticeships, things like that after high school. So if you ever have questions kind of more workforce directed, she's a great resource as well. Post-high school pathways, so we talked about them a little bit. Where we're located, we get a pretty good blend of our students. We have a lot of kids that end up going to trade schools. It's kind of heavy trade or bachelor's degree. A lot of people don't know about or talk about associate's degrees very much, where that is going to a school for about 60 credits. So most classes are like 3 credits, and then by the time you've earned 60, you've kind of earned your 2-year degree. And then beyond that, you go to your 4th year, and you get your around 120 credits, get your bachelor's degree. On top of that, we also have military that comes into our school pretty frequently for the lunch visits. Like today, we had the Marines in. I believe it was the Air Force the week before. They contact us, we work with them to get booths set up, and then we have a bunch of kids that go up and ask them questions and actively get recruited or get information about the colleges they're interested in. It's just a good option. And then there are the kids that the next step is not always immediately what they should be taking, whether that's education-wise. So we have a lot of kids that go right into the workforce and take some time to figure out what they want to do. It's not always the best step for a kid to jump right into a 4-year college with 0 plan. So if you're able to, as a family, to have that conversation to say, okay, if you're going to do that, here's the parameters that we want to expect, and set some goals so that it's not just this loose-ended, we're going to graduate high school and live in your basement, play video games, and go to work and come back and repeat 3 years later, you've got a 20-year-old living in your basement. So, but those are options. So that's kind of something we talk about, is helping structure those conversations with kids, with families, so that you can keep them motivated and headed in the right direction. Common college requirements. So you will notice our requirements on the right side line up very nicely with what the colleges require. We do that on purpose to make sure that once they graduate, they are ready to go to whatever path that they choose. The biggest difference right now is our switch to trimesters. So the current juniors, your students, have an extra half credit to graduate. That happened because of trimesters, because they have more opportunities to take classes each trimester than they did under the semester program, which then increased their credit requirements. So the current sophomores will actually need 25, and then the current freshmen will require 25.5 credits to graduate high school. It was the most fair way to divvy up basically this being flung on them without their choice. Then they fill in the rest of their schedule with electives, the things that they're interested in. As you've noticed with our referendum, we are very much so CTE focused and trying to push for that. So we've developed and created a bunch of spaces for kids to be successful in that area, because we're seeing that's what our kids are going into. We have so many kids that go to a 2-year school. We take kids on tours, I shouldn't say we. Garrett Wenzel does a bunch of work, a ton of work, to get kids out into the workforce to see Loprex, OEM manufacturing in Baldwin, I believe it is. And the people that we talk to there give us what I would consider the most valuable feedback of, we need people in these jobs. They pay extremely well. We're willing to hire you out of high school and train you and apprentice you and all of those things. So great opportunities all around in that way as well. The big thing that has changed with just in the last year is the idea of taking 2 years of a world language while you're in high school. So for a very long time, the U of M and UW-Madison were the only schools in our area that had that requirement to get into their school. So it's an entrance requirement. They are moving away from that. Is it the U of M? The U of M has taken away that requirement. Currently, UW-Madison still has it, but I believe that they're going to follow that trend as well. Along with that, what was I thinking about? Don't remember. It'll come back to me. But we get the kids prepared to go to whatever they are going to do next. We have a lot of conversations around that. We are extremely intentional with our course registration, and then we hold special meetings for things afterwards, like Start College Now and Early College Credit. If that's not something you've heard about yet or the kids haven't talked about, it'll probably be coming up in the spring when we do course registration, because that gives them opportunity to free college credits, and we'll keep talking about that and why that's important as well.
One thing I want to say really quick, if you're a virtual student watching or if you're a virtual student here, our requirement is 20 credits for open enrolled. So not the 24 and a half. Our open enrolled students at the virtual school only need 20 credits.
The college application process is big, it's scary, it's confusing. A lot of times there aren't any clear timelines on things. So things that we like to cover here is when do they apply for colleges? Typically the summer before senior year is when you're doing those college tours and you're beginning your applications. The whole UW system applications open on August 1st. A lot of the Minnesota schools follow that as well. And that's when that early action, typically October 15th through November 1st starts. And then October is free application month for a lot of colleges, where they waive the $40, $50, $60 for applications. So if your students know that they want to go to a school that has that fee, they might wait until October to do that, and that's totally fine. Again, November, February is the regular admittance, and then March to May can be late or rolling admission, depending on the college that students are applying to or looking at. The general materials that you need to apply, you'll need an unofficial transcript for applying, and then an official transcript for final admittance. And official transcripts are ordered through Parchment, which students can find on the counseling website. There's a link. We always say to students not to use your school email because they shut that down post-graduation, and you never know when you're gonna need to request a transcript once you leave us. That's also where students can reach out to their colleges. If they do any of the college opportunities here in the high school through the DACP program, through CIS, or through CAP, they'll request their official transcripts from whatever college program they were through to be sent to their college that they are applying to or admitted to, so that they get credit for college courses that they did here in high school. Testing scores are optional as of right now. It looks like in 2026, for fall of that year, they are going to start requiring the ACT score again, but for right now, it's test optional. AP scores are also something that you want to send to those colleges so that they can see those scores and determine if you get college credit for those or not.
We attend every year, the U of M and the UW system put on a school counselor hosted presentation to update us on all of the changes in their school systems. The ACT specifically is one that each year they've kept pushing back and leaving it test optional. So once, if that ever swings back, we will make that egregiously known that the ACT is quote-unquote important again for your college application. But as of right now, for a little while, we've still got that flexibility with test optional application.
Other things that students should look for when they're applying to colleges are letters of recommendation. Typically, they're optional, but some colleges require them to have one or two, typically from maybe a school official and a boss, or someone that you've worked with in the past, and then personal statements and any additional essays that colleges ask for right in those applications. Different places to apply. Common App is probably the biggest one that we see. It's a platform where students can apply to many different colleges kind of all in one go. Same with the UW System app. If your kid is looking at, Stout and Eau Claire and La Crosse and UW Green Bay and all of those, they can apply via the UW System app, and then it'll kind of send them all at the same time. MnState app for those Minnesota state schools, and then the Golden Gopher application for U of M, and then direct college admission from their websites. If you know that you want to go to a specific college, you can go to their college website, and there's usually a big Apply Now button in one of the top corners of their school websites.
All right, things to consider when picking the right college. Think about cost. What is the expected cost of the college or the credits? How much financial aid or scholarships do they offer? Is it a public school or private school? Location. How far away do you want to be from home? Do you want to live in a city, or do you want to be more in a rural area? How big is the college? Do you like bigger campuses? Do you like being in the city, or do you like a smaller campus where teachers know who you are and know your name? How many students are on campus? Housing, do you have to live on campus, and for how long? What does housing look like off campus? What are the admission requirements? What majors and minors does the college offer? If you are undecided, do they have programs that sound interesting to you? Are there other programs that are offered that interest you, like studying abroad programs? So these are really important things to think about, and what we've heard from the University of River Falls, you could write it down and rank what is most important to you. Is location most important to you? Is a bigger school most important to you? And then kind of weigh out your options and then get on campus. I think we can't emphasize enough is just to go see the campuses and get in the door and talk to teachers, talk to students, and just see it.
Yeah, I talk to kids a lot because it happened for me this way, where you go on enough college tours, eventually one of them will have what I call like the feeling. It just feels right. You feel comfortable. It feels like a place you can see yourself. And sometimes that just happens as soon as you step out of the car. You're like, yep, I can see myself being here. But that is honestly a very, very important part, besides what the college has to offer, is that your student still needs to live there for the majority of their time. So that is just as important as what that college has to offer, because mental health still continues beyond high school. They're going to go through a transition where we are now potentially secluded, or I don't have my friends, or I struggle to get outside. So feeling comfortable on the campus is just as important as what the campus has to offer.
One of the handouts that we had tonight was a huge list that we actually got from the UW of River Falls of all sorts of things that they hear from students on college tours. And it's okay to take that list with you because there are a lot of things on there that students don't think about. I don't think about what colors the school colors are and if that's important to me. Like some kids do, and so that whole list is super important to just take a glance at because there might be things on there that you don't think is important, and then when you go and look and you're like, oh, actually this is really important. Paying for college obviously is one of the biggest conversations that you guys have. So FAFSA, again, are those traditional student loans, the money that goes towards paying for college that does have to be paid back. The FAFSA uses for the 25-26 year, we'll use tax info from 2023, and this year it opened December 1st. It used to open October 1st. They kind of revamped the whole thing. There were some complications with their revamp, and it got pushed back, and it got pushed back, and so this year they opened it December 1st. I haven't heard of any major issues from students so far, so cross our fingers that that continues. But one of the resources that we do have on our very last slide is a whole common questions from FAFSA and FSA about what it means, who's the parent on the account, how do you sign up for your accounts, all that kind of stuff. For FAFSA, they do say, make sure your student creates their account first. One of the biggest problems that they were having was that parents were making their accounts before their students, and then they were having problems attaching parents to students. So having your student make their account first, they will send you an invite email, and then signing up for your FAFSA ID that way is the best way to make sure that you are attached to the correct student. So again, your student will have an account, and you will have an account for the FAFSA. Scholarships, money that goes towards college that you don't have to pay back. A lot of times these are going to be those one-off, oh, I got $1,000 from here or $500 from here. I run our local scholarship program, and I have our local applications opening for students typically around the first week of February, and I close it the Friday before spring break, and then we announce all of the scholarship winners at our scholarship awards night, typically the week of or the week before graduation. Again, these can be offered on a variety of criteria, needs-based, merit-based. They can be from the university. A lot tend to be field-specific. Hey, if you're going into criminology, here's a scholarship you can apply for. If you're going into STEM, here's an application. If you're going into education, here's a scholarship. So apply to whatever you can for your students. We specifically partner with Going Mary to provide as many scholarship opportunities as we can, and it's also where I host our local program. So basically, Going Mary, they fill out a profile. Here's my GPA, here are the extracurriculars that I did. I go to SEC High School, and here's what I'm going to college for, or here's what I want to go for college for, and it'll populate thousands and thousands of scholarships for them to apply to.
So preparing for senior year. So all of our juniors will take the ACT in March. Is it March 26th? Like we said, ACT scores are test optional right now, but ACT scores do help with scholarships. So we do encourage all juniors to take it. Start looking into colleges and what programs they offer. Go on college visits again. Like we said, super important. Be aware of what classes might have to be taken your senior year to get into college, like math requirements, foreign language requirements, or might prepare you for college. And then consider who you might ask to write letters of recommendation, teachers, coaches, employers, and make sure you ask them early enough to give them time to write a quality letter.
That's what I was going to talk about earlier was graduation requirements. When you get to college, so the world language requirement, for example, used to be an entrance requirement. It is still common, and I know at U of M and UW-Madison, they still have a graduation requirement to fulfill that same type of goal. So it's not uncommon for a kid to go to, say, like Winona State and still need to take a year or two of a world language or some type of specialized communication to graduate from that school. They just don't need it anymore to get into the school. But we talk to students about being prepared to have to do something like that once they get to college to graduate from the college that they went to. That's something that we've had a lot of kids talk to us about. They're like, I didn't expect to have to do, we call them generals, but they don't see it as kind of basically like 2 more years of high school. You're going to take exploratory type classes to try and find the thing you're interested in. They're like, no, I want to do this. I'm like, well, you're going to do about 2 years of some other stuff to make sure you really want to do that. On top of some colleges going, these are specific things that we're going to make you do because that's what we make everybody who comes here. That's another conversation we have with kids.
How parents can help prepare your kid for college. Listen and encourage your students to explore all options. Like we said earlier, 4-year colleges aren't for everybody, and that's okay. So be open-minded and realistic, and be aware of your students' emotional needs. It might not be a topic you talk about every single night at dinner. That can be stressful for students, but kind of prompting them and keeping them going to think about it. And then consider what post-secondary pathways are right for your students and which ones aren't. And then I think the biggest thing is help facilitate your child's independence. Colleges will not speak to parents once your kid is in college. So have them set up meetings. If they have questions about, are they gonna take this class that I took in high school, have them call the college admissions counselors, because they're always gonna have the answers. Help them balance deadlines and all that stuff. Having them lead this charge as much as they can is gonna do them a world of good post-high school.
I'm going to handle most of the questions unless I start to flounder. But I already had one question, and I'm going to cover it in general anyways. We offer just a ton of ways for kids to earn college credit while they're at SCC. So I'm going to go over some of those broadly. To start, we have dual enrollment programs. So dual enrollment means that kids are enrolled with us at SCC High School, and then we have staff who have earned their master's degree in a content area and have partnered with colleges to teach college-level material in the high school. What happens is there's a fee associated with this, drastically cheaper than the college tuition. Typically, it's like $100 a credit. Sometimes each class is a little bit different. They take that course, they apply, register through the college, and then at the end, their grade gets submitted to that college, and they have a transcript from that college. This is important because when you take a class with us through DACP, the Dual Academic Credit Program, you now out in the ether have a transcript from UW River Falls. And if you decide to go to Madison, you are legally required to send that transcript to Madison because it is part of your GPA is started once you take those types of classes. So it's really important to weigh that as well. This is going to have implications beyond high school. Then you request that transcript from that college. Most of the colleges also use Parchment to send an official transcript from the school you took a dual enrollment class with to wherever you are attending. And then the biggest work that we put in as school counselors is making sure that we as a school and through our other programs are taking college classes that are going to check a box, hopefully, and reduce cost of college, which is why we only offer certain types of classes. We offer pre-calculus and calculus for kids going into engineering. We offer intro to public speaking because it is one of the most commonly required freshman college courses, because eventually some kid will have to get up here and do this. You need to speak in front of people and sound like you know what you're talking about. We offer intro to animal science. We offer an intro American politics class. Then we have 2 different music courses. I believe that is all 7. Oh, that's right, U.S. history. So we offer 2 chunks of U.S. history, essentially from a beginning point in the 1800s to current. And that is 6 college credits by the time they're done through the U of M. So right now we have courses through the U of M, Stout, River Falls, Oshkosh. I believe that's it. So those are dual enrollment, yes. Yes. Yep, so all of them have to apply to that college in some facility, in some way. So they're, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, so all of the teachers know to help educate the kids on where to get the transcript. We do that as well. They should have that embedded into their curriculum to go at the end of this class, this is what you need to do. They get a little bit confused when that happens because they talk about it, but they haven't done it yet. So we work through that with them. But for each of those classes, they have to apply to that college as a special student. So most of them are non-degree seeking high school students. Lets them take college level courses where for most of them, have to go in and enter in some type of criteria like their GPA to prove to the college that they are academically ready to take this college course. Then they take the class, earn the grade, have their college transcript, and then send it to whatever college they end up going to. We as a district are kind of steering more towards this opportunity because AP or advanced placement classes require you to take a test at the end. So you could be a very great student academically, but a really bad test taker. Test anxiety is very real. We have a bunch of kids who that throws the whole thing off, and they could lose the last 2 months of education because they sat down and had to do a test. And it's just been proven. We are getting more kids, better grades, more college credits through the dual enrollment than we are through AP. Even though we know they know the material, we've just tested them on it for 2 trimesters, but they still get to the end and that test determines if they get the college credit or not. So that's really tough. That is kind of AP. Advanced placement is more rigorous courses that go through more content, deeper, and faster. And then at the end, you take a cumulative exam about everything that they learned in that AP class, scored out of 5 points. 1, 2, and some schools will not take a 3. The majority of schools will take a 3, 4, or 5 and then give you college credit for the class you took. So for example, we offer AP biology. So kids that take the AP bio exam at the end and earn a 3, 4, or 5 and are going to somewhere like River Falls are going to have their general biology credit covered because of the AP exam. They've proven that the content that they learned in AP biology is just as important or as on par with what they're teaching them in general biology. The kicker is that test at the end. So we have a lot of kids who end up getting 1s and 2s on that test and not getting college credit. There is still good facets to AP because it shows rigor. So on your transcript, you can say, yes, I intentionally chose a more difficult course, which could have impacted your GPA, but colleges see that you chose to do the more difficult thing. And if you got an A- instead of an A because you took an AP course, they are more than happy to see that. The big confusing program that the entire state has is the Start College Now and Early College Credit Program. Juniors and seniors can take up to 18 college credits that the district will pay for. There are some caveats, there are some steps and things that go along with that. The biggest one being if we offer that college credit in the high school, I cannot approve you to take it at a college because we have the opportunity here to get it earned in the building. So for example, like I said, we have AP biology. I am not able to approve kids to go take general biology at River Falls. We offer chemistry, but do not have AP chemistry or any sort of dual enrollment chemistry. So kids typically go to River Falls to take general chemistry to get their college science class with a lab done before graduation because that is a very common college requirement to have to take a science with a lab, whether it's bio, physics, chem, something, anywhere along those lines. Then with that program, I hold a special meeting for kids that are interested in that after we do course registration, as well as one in the fall. It is difficult to navigate, but once someone has done it once, it's infinitely easier. We have application forms where kids put down the classes that they want to take. It is not committing them to those classes. It is essentially holding a spot, but not holding a spot, because River Falls lets all of their current students register, and then early college credit students can come in and take essentially what's left, or we've kind of pivoted heavily to the online class options for general psychology, sociology, diversity studies, women and gender studies. All of those types of humanities, liberal arts credits are very common to check a box for a general education requirement at some other college. General psychology and intro to sociology are the most common classes we have kids take, and then that general chemistry, because they are such broad credits that even if they went to the East or West Coast, those credits are still going to transfer because everyone makes you take that. So we do a lot of work to teach kids how to understand what kind of classes should I be looking at. And then kids that have very specific interests, we work with them as well to go, okay, River Falls, for example, has a great equine program. So we have a lot of kids that take companion animal. It's just a class River Falls offers that checks a equine degree with them. I've had like 2 kids take that. And that's something that they wouldn't have access to without this type of program if your school is not offering any classes like that. And again, that's 18 credits worth that the school district will pay for. You just have to go through this process. And there's a lot of delay. You fill out that paperwork, you give it to me, and then there's a several month waiting period before we actually go in and register for those courses, and then they wait again for the classes to start. So, but those are the majority of ways I believe that we have for college credits to be earned in high school and how you make those come together after you've graduated. AP is a score that you can request from AP or from College Board, technically, to be sent to any school you want. Dual enrollment, like I said, you need to ask that college, and request an official transcript to go where you're going. And then same thing with Start College Now at Early College Credit. If you take classes at Northwood, CVTC, or River Falls, you need to request those transcripts to whatever college you're going to. I believe that is kind of the gist of college credit stuff. Yes? So when we are doing, what will happen next is we'll do course registration in the spring. The paperwork is due to us by March 1st, and then that is for the fall classes. So they're going to turn in paperwork in late February, and nothing's going to happen until midsummer when registration opens. So a lot of kids get really nervous because nothing's happening for such a long period of time, but it gives the colleges enough time to prepare. They make hiring decisions based around how many high schools are potentially sending kids to their classes. It takes a lot of effort on the college's end to be prepared to run this. But then when the time comes, registration opens, any classes that kids have put on that form, they have the ability to register for those classes through the college, whether it's in person or online. And that is why we only work with CVTC in River Falls, Northwood, and UWRF, because if they take an in-person class, they need to be able to get there.
The college will reach out to the student to register. So they don't communicate. Once we turn in that application on March 1st, they are now communicating with the student. So they don't really tell us anything. So we're unaware. So that's really important. The student is checking their emails. For example, like right now is when our students are registering for those college classes. So I've had colleges reaching out to me like, hey, I can't get a hold of this student. So it's really important these students are using their independence and looking at their emails to register for these classes. Yes.
For next fall, that paperwork will get taken care of in the spring when we do course registration. So I will hand out the fresh paperwork for fall. That is one of the things I hold a special meeting for because it is confusing and complicated. I send out an email to everybody, so all of you have gotten this yes, all of you have gotten this because you all have juniors. Everyone in here has a junior or a senior, you have gotten this email that outlines all of the things that I'm talking about. It has all of the links to find the courses at each of these colleges. I've put as much work as I can to make this process as smooth as possible, but it is a bit confusing to traverse. And then yes, we'll do course registration in the spring. That paperwork in March will be due for the fall semester at colleges. Yep,
Yeah.
for the paperwork.
So that application, the Early College Credit, Start College Now application has to be turned into us every time. Even if you've taken classes in the past that we just need to sign off on it to make sure that you haven't gone over those 18 credits that we'll pay for.
And that you're trying to take classes that we can offer
Yes,
or approve,
yeah.
essentially.
Yeah. And then, so like for next fall, that registration will be in the summer. So a lot of kids miss those emails too because it's summer and they're not checking. So I think registration usually is in July.
Yeah, it's early to mid-July is when the registration will open for fall courses. They change it every year, but it's whenever they're ready, essentially. Yeah, but the biggest takeaway from all that is they will treat a junior in high school like they're a college student. They're going to get a college email from these schools. They're going to send them information. They have access to all the information. Believe me, it's never not been there. Whenever the kid comes and says, I didn't get that, I go, I'm going to bet you did. Let's go find it. And it's always in there somewhere. Whether it went to the email they used in their application, to their college email, to the parents' email, someone got something from the college that said, hey, this is what you need to do. But that is, kids that take our Start College Now and Early College Credit classes are doing the best they can to be prepared for college, because a kid that has gone through a college registration on their own at least one time is going to be leaps and bounds of any other kid that goes to college and has never done that process. River Falls uses ESIS, which is a really clunky, not fun website to register for courses. So today I helped 4 girls register for their classes, and it's just, having never done it, it's confusing. And by the time you've done it once, it's pretty easy, but getting it through that first time can be tricky. Yes. The short answer off the top of my head is I don't know. I would think that your parent account would remain active, and then the second student would request you when that time came, but that's something that we can get an answer for to share out, because I don't know specifically unless you do.
I don't know, especially due to the shift that they made in their whole program, and that, you know, that became an issue that we didn't know was going to be an issue. I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, I'll write it down and we'll find an answer and share it out, because that's a good question. I haven't had anybody ask that, and I don't think we've had a scenario come up, at least in my tenure, of that happening.
That was this year. So for the students going to college in the fall, this is the FAFSA that they will fill out. So your students will fill out, like, that FAFSA will more than likely open for them a year from 10 days ago. Correct.
If they keep the date the same.
Yeah.
FAFSA is really going through it with this whole rework. Like I said, they're just kind of letting us know when they're ready, and then we go, okay.
I think last year it opened up in January, so it's just all over the board right now.
Always during lunch hours.
Every time it happens, it's in our daily announcements, because they could be scheduled the day before. So sometimes we don't have a lot of prep. Sometimes colleges do this months in advance. The weeks leading up to, or the week leading up to, and the week and the day it's happening, it's in the announcement saying this is what college, this is what military branch will be here in the lunchroom, and then they have full access to them.
They always set out a table right by where the students line up for lunch. Like, the military was here and the students had to walk right by them to get into that lunch line. Yeah. Especially with the trimesters, 5 minutes was added to their lunch period. And these kids are so used to eating as fast as they possibly can in 15 minutes that now they have 15 minutes to go, oh, well, I ate in 15 minutes, now we have 15 minutes to sit in the lunchroom. So a lot of kids do have the time. The Marines especially, they always bring their big pull-up bar, and there are kids doing that and kind of interacting with all the recruiters and all that.
So a show of hands, who knows that we have a counseling newsletter attached to Brian's announcements? About half. So that is something that we could easily add to ours as a calendar once we know that they're on there to send out each month. If you didn't know that was a thing, we have our own newsletter that goes out with Brian's announcements specific to things in our department. So testing, scholarships, ACP stuff, all of those things that are relevant from our domain, we can definitely add that in there, which I'll
For
note
next
here.
year, like cap and gown order information will come from our newsletter. It goes out a couple times in a couple different ways. But that always, I try to get that out either the weekend before the start of the month or by the 1st. Yes. Does anybody else have any questions?
And feedback in general, like we are trying to develop our school counseling program. If there's things you're feeling like you're not getting, we don't know what we don't know. So like things like that, if that's helpful, we're always looking for tips like that, and it doesn't have to be right now. If you think of something in a month and go, hey, this would have been good to know, if it's within our bounds, we'll obviously try our best to make it happen, because we want the information to be accessible, and that's always what we're trying to do. Yeah. Perfect, because that's a better resource than we had. I have not had a kid come to us with that yet, so then that is a unique situation. I would have probably started talking to a recruiter, because that'd be the best contact I had out of the gate. Just to be like, hey, who can you steer me to this? And same thing, if we don't have an answer, we're not just going to leave it at that. We're going to do our best to try and find the right resource to get you an answer. Yes, so the tricky part is there's a weight to the college credit versus the high school credit. So right now, a 3-credit college class earns you 0.75 high school credits. So what typically happens is we have kids who take an English class at River Falls and then need 0.25 credits their senior year to graduate. So they still end up taking 1 English class with us, but it's better than 2. I believe, so 2 credits college is a half credit, 1 is, yeah, it just keeps going up and down from there. And then they do fall on their transcript, they earn high school credit, and they fall under the subject area that they took. So kids that take general psych falls under social studies. English would obviously fall under English. We have kids that take chemistry and earn science credits. That is the nice part, it gets credit in both areas. Yes. Yeah, so that is handled in that futures and personal finance class with Tracy Crowley. If they come to us with that information, we also help them in that same boat. But a lot of the career stuff and the academic and career planning curriculum is being handled in that class with Tracy Crowley, because that's just kind of who we have for our expert on that. And then we help kids that have the specific questions beyond that.
I don't have a specific list of like, oh, I know that these are nursing schools, oh, I know that this is this, but I mean, we kind of generally know the schools in our area, so if like.
And part of that information comes from those updates we get each year. Every college tells us, hey, these are the programs that we are either specializing in, are the only ones that have it, or ones that we offer service a lot of kids for. And we keep notes on that for every year and go, yep, I know that, Oshkosh just told me that they're starting biotechnology. So when we have kids come to that, I pull up that list all the time to go, I just had a college say this is what we're focusing on, or we just renovated and are adding a whole new space for this. It's kind of what that conversation typically looks like. Yes. So the only registration that happens is they create what's called a My ACT account. The last 2 years, I've leveraged one of our ELA teachers to have that. She does an ACT prep in her class, Mrs. Jordines does. So she implements that as part of her curriculum to get their My ACT account set up. And that's what they can use to send, I believe it's 4 scores for free to their schools if they know where they want to send them ahead of time. And then that account is where they can then go to see their scores after the test. So the scores usually come out whatever X amount of time later. They can go back and log into their My ACT account and see all of their scores and breakdowns in there. Yep, it's helpful. The nice part is they're taking it as juniors, so they're going to have that account for another year. We tell them not to, but most of them still do, because that's the one that they either manage the best. What typically happens after the ACT is we see a tank in email management, because as soon as they do that, if they opt into, I think it's called like EOS, it's giving the right to the ACT to share their information with schools to go, hey, I want to be reached out to you for scholarships, programs, all those opportunities we've talked about. And then their email gets inundated with stuff from colleges, and then they stop managing it. So that's another piece to the puzzle that we run into, which is why we start them early, trying to go manage your email and delete the things that are irrelevant so you can keep it like that. But a lot of the times they use their school email. Yes, there may be a fee with that, is the only difference. Yeah. Yeah, and they want to send the updated score. Yep. Yep, it's definitely kind of a case-by-case situation. If a kid goes, I'm going into this feeling a little shaky, take it the first time and then send your scores after. Or take your test the second time and then send them after that.
If a student wants to take it a second time, that is when they would have to register for a test at a national site. So they can only take it one time through us at the high school, and if they want to take it again, that is when they would register on myact.org, and they would try to find a school.
They're what's called national testing sites. So there are schools around us that will facilitate the ACT on a Saturday, typically in the morning. You do have to pay for that and sign up for it, and those spots go fast. Most of them are, scraping together enough teachers to service about 50 kids is kind of what you'll see pretty commonly. And then as soon as that's full, that testing day is done, all of those kids will take the test, and then you gotta find another one. Like, I think there's a school in Chippewa Falls that does it, River Falls used to, I don't know if they still do. Yeah, I don't know. So that's another reason we highly encourage them to take advantage of the one we're offering for free here at the school built in, because if you wanna do it after, it is going to cost you, and it's gonna cost you financially and a Saturday, and yeah, just a whole bunch of other things. Yes? That is something that Mrs. Jordines does in her American literature class on her own. It's unaffiliated from anything we do. She runs them through as many resources as she can find for test preparation. We as a district do Horizons testing now as our ACT prep. So Horizons is a platform that models the ACT that we are implementing 3 times a year unless you're a junior. They'll take it, is it twice?
Fall, winter, and then the ACT.
So we implement it in the fall, the winter, and the spring. Your junior year, you're only gonna take it in the fall and the winter because we're not going to practice test you right before you do the real thing. But by now, our current freshmen will have taken 7 or 8 practice tests by the time they get to their junior year. Right now, our current juniors will only have those 2 times under their belt. That is something that we do as an entire building that happens. And then our teachers have access to all of those scores, reports, information to start understanding which concepts kids are not understanding collectively to focus in on and teach or reteach in their classes. I don't know what is going to happen with those score reports. That's not our
I know that all
department.
students have access to their scores now. I'd have to ask our school psychologist, he's the one who's really helped out with Horizons, if parents got a report, but I know that students can log into their Horizons accounts and see all of their scores. And it gives you your overall score, and it breaks it up into each category as well. So they have their composite, their math, their reading, their English, their science.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's modeled directly after that. And then we are also, and I speak about this like we're doing it, it's not a school counseling thing, we help with it, so we know a lot about it. But kids, we are slowly adding facets to start simulating a real testing environment. So the first time that we did this, they did not have any time restrictions. The time wasn't even shown on their test, just in an effort to ease them into it. And then we are slowly adding those layers to start preparing them for what actually taking the test will be like. Like, I don't remember if it's the next one where we're having the clock just visible. And then we will be giving them I think it's a halfway through time warning, just to go, okay, pause, take a second, look around, where am I at in this math test I'm taking? If this were the ACT, half of the time would have expired by now. How am I doing? Just to at least have a frame of reference. Eventually working towards, we are now going to do a time-structured, 60-minute math Horizons test. Whatever you don't finish will be left blank, like the ACT will be. Anything else? If you think of something, I realize we didn't do this at the start. My name is Travis Madigan.
My name is Erin Pop.
And I'm Carly Eichstead.
So we are the high school counselors, and then Carly is the virtual school counselor. We work together for a lot of stuff. We have kids that ebb and flow between both buildings. We work together on a lot of things. If after tonight you have more questions, our emails are on the district website. You can contact us, call us. If you want to set up a meeting after this, we're more than willing to sit down and do that. And as always, like, if we don't have the answers right then, we'll get them. We won't just leave you out in the dust.
Our presentation is on our counseling website, so common resources at the very end here. Transferology is a website to help kind of determine how those college credits will transfer. Parchment, again, where students order all their transcripts. The FAFSA, that will take you directly to FSA's website. And then the FAFSA common questions, the college planning timeline is the one that you have in your hand there. And then the same with the college decision factors. Those are some of those handouts that we gave. But that FAFSA common questions are going to be the top questions that FAFSA has identified as, hey, this is what people are asking for the most. So one thing that changed this year with FAFSA is that you are no longer parents for the FAFSA, you are contributors. So which contributor is the right one to put if you have a split household or anything like that. And then beyond, like, how do you set up your parent account? and all that sort of stuff is on there. And that PDF is all links for you guys to have. Till next year.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Which is why we, as a counseling department, have determined, junior year is kind of that most pivotal where this is where kids are really starting to think about this, like right now specifically, because our seniors are doing these things, and then the juniors start wondering about it and asking, and you as parents, if we give you, not that if we're hiding the information, but when we do this too early, it gets forgotten or it's not as applicable, but now your clock is kind of starting for this stuff within the next year to start preparing and thinking about this, which is why we do it now.
Again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact us, set up meetings, emails, phone calls, any of that kind of stuff. But other than that, have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
This is on our school counseling website, yep.